we were speaking about the freedom of press, which is one of these very, very sensitive issues, as sensitive here as it is sensitive in the US. And we were speaking about the liberals and the right wing, and the argument that we heard back then was that if the right wing were to come to power, they would ensure that there was complete freedom of expression, because over the last 20 years they've seen themselves be cancelled and they've seen themselves be censored, and they do not want a similar situation. But now, if you're looking at what's happening in the US, I think you are seeing a very, very different kind of playbook. So how do you make sense of it all?
That's a big question. And I'll give you a couple of thoughts. One is, I think, and we've seen this in other moments in our history, I'm sure in India's history and elsewhere, that when certain regimes come to power, they, in the early days, overcorrect. They go in the direction that they have said they'd go in, but they go very aggressively and very far. And I admit to you, we may be in a period like that as we speak. I also would suggest that history would show that ultimately settles into a, not always for sure, but ultimately it settles into a more balanced reality. Among other reasons, elections happen. So there's a governor's election in New Jersey this year. There's a governor's election in Virginia. They will be signals toward congressional elections and more governor's elections next year. Elections have consequences, and that's typically why history will say that things moderate. And I certainly, on the one hand, will not deny that this has been very aggressive and very hard and very far, even relative to expectations. But I would also argue that more often than not that gets balanced in some fashion.